I told my mom that I was exhausted by my sister's constant presence in our lives. I didn't realize that my honesty was about to reveal the one thing she had been hiding for months. I grew up as the quiet daughter, the one who worked a steady job, paid her bills on time, and never caused a scene. My sister, Elena, was the exact opposite. She was loud, messy, and seemed to move through life like a whirlwind, leaving everyone else to pick up the pieces. For the last few months, it felt like she was everywhere. Every time I went to my mom's house for a rare moment of peace, Elena was already there, sitting in my favorite chair, wearing my old clothes, and whispering to my mother in the kitchen. They would stop talking the moment I entered the room, and the air would grow thick with a secret I wasn't allowed to know. I felt like a stranger in my own childhood home, pushed to the edges while Elena took up all the space. The breaking point happened during a Sunday dinner that was supposed to be a celebration of my recent promotion. 10 minutes into the meal, Elena interrupted my story to ask our mother if she could have the pearl necklace our grandmother left to me. I looked at my mother, waiting for her to defend my inheritance, but she just looked down at her plate and whispered, "Maybe we can talk about it later." I felt a snap inside my chest. I stood up, my chair screeching against the floor, and told my mom that I was absolutely exhausted. I told her I was ashamed of how Elena had become a shadow over everything I worked for, and I was disgusted that we all had to pretend her behavior was normal just to keep the peace. I walked out into the night, convinced that by finally speaking the truth, I had permanently destroyed my family. For 3 days, the silence from my family was deafening. I stayed in my apartment, jumping every time the hallway light flickered or a neighbor's door closed. I felt a crushing sense of suspense, wondering if I would ever be invited back, or if I was now the difficult one for finally standing up for myself. I started to question if my jealousy had blinded me to something else, but the thought of Elena's constant whispering with my mother kept me angry. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting for the final push that would officially make me an outsider. I had spent my whole life being the good girl, and in one night, I had become the villain of the family story. Finally, on the 4th evening, my mother arrived at my door with a small, battered wooden box I hadn't seen in years. She sat on my sofa, her hands trembling as she opened the lid. She told me that Elena hadn't been taking my things. She had been gathering them to create a memory chest for a very specific reason. The real secret was that my mother had been diagnosed with a rapidly progressing form of memory loss, and Elena had been spending every waking hour with her, using my old clothes, my photos, and my stories to keep my image alive in our mother's mind for as long as possible. Elena didn't want to tell me because she wanted me to enjoy my success without the weight of the tragedy she was carrying alone. I realized then that my sister wasn't trying to replace me. She was the only reason my mother still knew my name.